From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
The Ear to There Podcast, it's time to start the show. Be sure to hold on tight, here we go. Exploring all the different Disney destinations. Ear to There, it's time to start the fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There Disney Podcast. I am your host, Phil Gramlich. I'm also the owner and the founder of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney specialized travel agency. It is my job, along with all of the vacationeers, and when I say vacationeers, I mean travel planners on the Ear to There Travel team. It is all of our jobs to take away all the stress, all the anxiety, and all the time that it takes to plan a Disney trip, so you, the guests, can focus on the really, really fun things, like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. And you can listen to this podcast, meet every single person on the Ear to There Travel team, and request your free, no obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. All right, this is episode number 203 for the week of June 29th, 2020. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. Now, before getting into the show, it is time for this week's What About Bob segment. This is where Disney legend and Imagineer Bob Gurr comes on the show and he's going to answer your questions and mine. Now, if you don't know who Bob is, Bob was hired by Walt Disney himself in 1954. He's created pretty much everything on wheels in Disneyland and in Walt Disney World, especially if it's been around for a while. Bob designed the first ever monorail in the Western Hemisphere of the world, which is insane to me still to this day. He built the Matterhorn, both the track and the vehicles, worked on the People Mover, the Haunted Mansion, the submarines, the Grand Prix Speedway, the Autopia. Listen, I could go on and on. Bob designed a ton of stuff for the Disney company. It's all over the parks still to this day. And he wants to answer your questions. So if you have a question for Bob, please email it to me. My email address is phil@eartotheretravel.com. And I will do my best to get it to him, and he will try to answer it on the show. And the What About Bob segment is brought to you by the Waltland Bus Tour. This is a tour where Bob Gurr is your MC, is your narrator. You will get on a big bus, drive all around Southern California with stops in Los Angeles, in Glendale, and in Burbank. And you will stop at all the historical sites and places in the history of not only the Disney company, but in the life of its founder, Walt Disney. Right now, the Waltland Bus Tour has been paused because of COVID-19 and all of the restrictions. But once it gets back up and running again, you can get tickets for the Waltland Bus Tour over at www.waltland.com. All right, without further ado, here he is, the man who almost got struck by lightning working at Tampa's ship on the submarines for Walt Disney World, my friend, Bob Gurr.
It's What About Bob? Bob Gurr, the legend, creator of the Matterhorn, the monorails in the Haunted Mansion. What about Bob, the Disney legend?
This one's from Griffin, from Virginia, and I think he's 10 years old. I think he's 10 or 11. He had a couple questions for me that I couldn't answer today, so I said, I'm going to talk to Bob Gurr today, so I'll ask Bob. So the first question he had was, do you know, and I'm sure you do, what the first attraction completed at Magic Kingdom was? He's doing a school paper, and he wanted to know what the first ever completed attraction in Magic Kingdom was.
Okay, when he's talking about Magic Kingdom, that's Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom. Is that right?
Walt Disney World, yep.
Yeah, okay. The first, everything was going on, I think, let's say for an attraction, because I was down there a lot.
Right.
And everything was finally had to be open or substantially open by the opening day.
I couldn't find it. I did as much research as I could, so I said I'll ask the guy who was probably around.
I'm trying to think because a couple of the simpler ones were very, very easy to get installed because they were in a facility that was very, very easy. I think, golly, I'm trying to think. It's one of the dark rides. I think it might have been one like Pinocchio or Snow White. I think it was like the first one going.
Okay.
That's a question I've never gotten. I know there are people that they keep track of that, especially for Disneyland.
I was leave it to a kid to answer your question you never got before, right?
Yeah. Well, see, technically, when you say the first attraction to open, it's like the day before, virtually nothing is done and finished.
Right.
But the next morning, they're all open together. So it's like we're getting down to which one is an hour ahead of the other.
Right.
Where it might be a question probably could have been which attractions were substantially finished the day before opening, knowing that everything literally winds up the next day. That's a very interesting question. I've never seen anybody look at the park like that. So, yeah, thank him for giving a very complex question of the nature of which would be hard to track down, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to
after 40 years, because it's a matter of hours.
Right. I'm going to send him your answer because he's so excited to get it from you. And the other question he had, and this is along the same lines, so I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, but do you know what land was completed or mostly completed first in the construction of Magic Kingdom?
At the Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
Oh, Main Street.
That's what I thought. Right.
Yeah, Main Street has the most involved amount of work, starting with foundations, framing, putting up the building, putting all the interiors in it. So that always got an early start. Same thing at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Because that you need it because that's where the money's made, the stores. So by far, that was really done. Everything about it, because we needed the front entrance. We absolutely had to have the City Hall. We needed a big emporium thing, and we needed almost everything all the way up to the hub by the castle had to be functional.
Yeah, I know that. I had a book that Disneyland then and now book for Disneyland. The Opera House, right, was the first building ever built because they used it as a mill for when they were building the rest of the park.
Oh yeah, Walt and Joe Fowler were very smart. They knew the sequence of things that you absolutely had to have, and they knew they were going to build that Opera House. So it's a simple framing. I mean, it's just a great big barn, all it is. But that barn had to go up immediately. That was the first foundation in because remember, Disney had a Disney movie studio, which was full of woodworkers building movie sets. So there was no idea of having outside architect companies come in, outside contractors and build stuff. No, a lot of the detail work was going to be done with millwrights based on the Disney studio. So there you have it. You have the mill first, which meant the Opera House opened quite a bit later because, there was no rush to get it done, but the front was done.
Right.
But the mill was a absolutely primary thing.
All right. Thank you to Bob for answering a couple more questions on the show. Thank you to Griffin from Virginia for sending those questions in. Griffin, I know you sent them in a while ago, but how cool is it to have Bob not only answer your question on a podcast, but then you can go take that answer and put it in like a school paper? So cool. So thanks again, Griffin. Thanks again, Bob, for answering, and thank you for listening. Okay, it is time to move on with the episode. And episode 203 is all about the most underrated Disney villains. Enjoy. Honestly, this has nothing to do with the episode itself. This is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror background music, but I thought it would be pretty cool music to put into the show to start. All right. So as I mentioned, this week we're going to talk all about our favorite or our most underrated Disney villains. And to do that, I called on some villains that live in my home, my family. Now, we recorded this and I went over it and I wasn't going to use it because I thought, man, it got a little chaotic, to be honest with you. So be warned, there are 3 children in this episode. They speak their minds an awful lot. They don't wait their turn, really. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope it gives you a little bit of a window into what my everyday life is like now that the summer is in full swing. We are in the house. I mean, we're out of the house a lot, in our little pool, walking around, taking drives, but not totally out of the house yet, as I'm sure a lot of you aren't either. Anyway, enjoy episode 203. Here we go. All right, it's been a while. Here to talk all about our most underrated villains. Underrated Disney villains? Underrated, it's all animated, right? Did we go with all animated? Give me a nod. A nod. Yes, we're all animated. Okay. Here to talk about our favorite underrated animated villains is my entire immediate family. We're going to go around the table. We're going to go with oldest to youngest. So first, the much older than me, my wife, Ames.
So still just the 2 years, guys. Still only 2 years older than him.
Two's a long.
It's not very much. Has not increased.
Two's a
during
lot of
the
years.
quarantine, although it feels like it has.
It has. All right, Ames. Second, my oldest daughter, Alexa Joy. Lex, say what's up.
Hi, sorry, I'm just really happy to be here.
Very happy to be on the show.
Yes.
Yes, happy to have you on, bud.
It's been too long, right?
Yeah, it's been like 2 months, I think.
Next up is the middle daughter, the middle child, the blonde, the fabulous Zoe G. Zoe, how are you? She's finishing food, even though she knew we were recording a podcast.
She was very hungry.
How you doing, Zoe?
By the way, Jack is also finishing food, and I am good.
Are you good?
Yes.
And
Hello.
last but not least, the baby of the family, the young man,
Hello.
Jack. How you doing, bud?
Good.
Good. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, people.
All right, so we had to go into this a little bit. We're going to talk about our most underrated villains, as everybody try not to play with stuff on the table to make a whole lot of noise. All right, bud, we're recording. Let's go. Okay, everybody got that out of your system? Let's go. All right, so I can't really edit this. It's going to take me forever. So, no noise. All right, people, work with me. All right.
What about laughing?
Yeah, laughing is great. Get all the laughs in there. Laugh. Let me hear you practice your practice laugh.
What?
All right, so this getting the concept of underrated across to twin 7-year-olds took a little bit of work, right, guys? But now you're very confident in what underrated means, right?
I'm excited.
You're excited.
It
Good.
means, like, not that much people talk about them.
Right. Not many people talk about them.
Like, they're not that famous.
Exactly.
Right.
Perfect.
Can I say what spurred this podcast? And
You have 10 seconds.
Okay.
No, of course. Yeah, go.
Because we've been watching, obviously, I'm sure a lot of other people have too, watching a lot of Disney movies and rewatching them. And we watched Up recently, and we saw the villain in Up, and we were like, first of all, I don't even remember
Are you
his
tipping
name.
your hand here?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's my first one. But anyway, so we didn't remember his name, and we were like, nobody talks about how evil this guy is.
Yeah, he's not a good dude.
And then Lex and I said, this would make a great podcast. So we sat that night and made like we just came up with so many, a big good list of this. So we thought we might as well share it with everyone and see what you guys all think.
That's a great idea. I love the idea as soon as you said it. Jack, where are you going? We're recording, bro. Sit down.
No, sit down.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I'm so sorry. We tried to organize this as much as we could. We literally sat in our living room for 10 minutes while everybody got themselves food and drinks to get ready to record.
So we're all set.
And
We're
already
fine.
in the first 3 minutes, we had to kick it up. Okay.
He's
You
fine.
good now?
He was just cleaning
All right,
up after himself.
Here we go.
Serious.
Thank you for your serious face. That's good. Okay. So we're going to talk about our most underrated Disney villains of all time. We're going to try to keep it together for you. We're going to start with who's going to give us the first one on that side of the table.
Me.
No, you guys aren't. You got Bonnie or Alexa?
Well, I might as well continue because I already kind of started. So I was talking about the villain from Up. His name, which we did not know and had to look up, is Charles Muntz. And so the reason that we wanted to talk about him...
Charles Muntz.
Charles Muntz. The reason we want to talk about him is he's really, really evil. He's just like... really surprising because he just seems like this old guy and everyone thinks of him as a hero. So you don't really see it coming. He's like very charming when Russell and everyone meet him, Carl meet him and all. And then all of a sudden, he just gets this crazy look in his eyes and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
he
this guy
hears about the bird.
Oh, you heard about Kevin. That's right.
Kevin, does anybody do a good Kevin impression?
No, I don't want.
Okay, good. Okay, good. We just need one. We just need one. Okay, good Kevin impression.
Yes, as
So
soon
he
as he
hears
hears
about
about
Kevin.
Kevin, right.
Right, so he hears about Kevin, and that's when he starts losing his mind a little bit.
Right, but he has no, like, this is the thing about Charles Muntz and why he's such a good villain. I don't know why people don't talk about him more. Because he doesn't care about anyone. Like, Russell is this little kid, and he's, like, totally willing to kill him in a second.
Yep.
Like, sorry for ruining the ending of Up.
If you haven't seen Up...
And he ties him up in a chair.
Yeah, he just takes him as a prisoner.
He tries to throw him out into the rail.
You have to watch a lot of Disney
All
movies
his
before
plane. All
you...
his plane.
He tries to throw him off the blimp, right?
Yes.
When he's all tied up.
But he has no
He also
issues.
I think he shoots at him. He shoots at Carl.
He has, like, no problem if all of them die. As long
Yeah.
as he gets Kevin.
Yeah, he's a really unhinged
Because he has
villain.
nothing to lose. That's the thing, you guys.
Kevin.
He's
He
been...
didn't shoot Kevin. He tries to.
Bite. Oh, yeah,
He
'cause
wants
the
to.
dog bites
But
Kevin.
does the dog bite Kevin?
But
Which
he's
one?
only been living with
Oh,
dogs
it
and by
was
himself
the
otherwise
dog
for
that
years.
Right, but the dogs talk.
When,
It's kind of like little people.
Still, I'm saying he
Because
has
dogs...
he has nothing to lose.
All right, guys, one at a time.
When he was a kid, somebody said he needs to find his bird, so
Right.
he will turn back when he finds the bird.
Right.
When Carl was a kid.
Right.
That's right. And he's
Carl-
been
so he's
looking
older than
all
Carl.
those
Older
years.
than Carl.
He's like 20 years older than Carl, yeah. Excuse me.
Way more than 20.
More than 20? All right, so
He's a kid.
So
What happened?
Charles Muntz, bad dude, is what we're looking at.
Correct.
Ends up dying, right? Gets thrown off the
Yeah, he
house.
definitely doesn't survive.
I don't think he lives through that part.
No way.
His 100-year-old body can't fall 300
But
feet
he should have
into
been
the
nicer,
ground.
and then it wouldn't have happened.
It's a good point. He should have been nicer.
Yeah.
We hit you guys that all the time, right? Be nice. What are our 2 rules? Number 1.
Be nice.
What's number 2?
Never
All the time.
all the time.
Right.
And the third one is always have fun.
Is that a third rule?
Yeah.
All right,
And
cool.
the fourth one is
never fun.
All right.
No, we don't have a third rule.
All right, we're
Okay.
going to
We have a lot of
Moving
we're
on.
going to Phil's first villain.
All right, so we start talking about rules, and the everything starts flying off the handle here. All right, my first villain that I think is underrated, you guys have seen in the movie, and it's Stromboli from Pinocchio.
Oh, you love Stromboli.
Love Stromboli. He's one of my favorite villains, and he's also super underrated. Why is he underrated?
I didn't think of him.
No,
Because he's so underrated.
exactly. That's the point of the episode, right?
He's the most underrated figure in the world.
He is pretty underrated. So it's one thing to have all the puppets that you're mean to, right? You're mean to puppets, marionettes. Not a big deal. He gets his hands on a wooden living boy, right? Pinocchio's alive. What does he do with him? He makes him work every single day. Every day. Where does he put him? Does he have a room? Does he get a little bed?
He lives in a cage.
He lives in a bird cage.
No, that's really true.
He has him locked up. He has him locked up in a bird cage. And then what? But he makes him work every day. He's the hardest working puppet in show business.
And he
He's the
lies.
puppet James
They're
Brown.
not playing
He's a
figures.
good.
Shows up.
This is a good joke that's getting
It's really funny.
played by Zoe here. What'd you say, Zoe?
Then he lies in the blue fairy shows up, and he lies, and then his nose gets so
That's
big.
true. But,
That's
no,
true.
but
And
just,
then
hold on.
Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, no. Stromboli's not an Essie. Just wait 1 second. Let me finish on Stromboli. And if you want to talk about Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio's nose growing, you can. So then the worst part is, if Pinocchio doesn't keep performing, what's he say he's going to chop him up into? You'll make good firewood.
Is that your accent?
It's not bad.
Excellent. Oh,
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I think my Stromboli accent's pretty good. Anyway, super underrated.
totally unrelated. Nobody talks about
Underrated or underrated?
whatever. There's a lot going on right now.
It's a busy room. All right, let's work on letting one person talk at a time, dudes.
I'm
All
trying
right?
to keep it organized.
Okay.
All right, Zoe, it's you. Zoe's turn.
Hold on, we're going to get there. All right, Zoe, let's get your underrated villain. Zoe's going to the list, and she's going to say King Candy.
Because
From
what
Wreck-It
movie?
Ralph.
from Wreck-It Ralph.
And why is King Candy your underrated villain? That's how we go, please.
Because he goes turbo, and that's how they came up of going turbo when you leave your game into another game.
Right, so what does he do that's evil?
He tries to win the game, and he wants to crush Vanellope's car because they think that she's a glitch.
Yeah, but he is the one that made her a glitch because he tried to erase her from the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big problem. And what else is he trying to do? He doesn't let her race because he knows if she races, she'll win and she'll go back into her part, on the side of the game, and he will be kicked out of the game forever.
But doesn't he also try to kill her?
Yeah.
I think he does.
Yeah, and he tries to kill Wreck-It Ralph.
Definitely
Of
tries
course,
to
at
kill
the
Wreck-It
end,
Ralph.
when he's a big Cybug /
And
King
he
Candy
turns
guy.
Wreck-It Ralph against Vanellope, and it's I can't even
Oh,
watch
that's the
that part.
really sad part.
I can't even watch that part of the movie.
Sometimes you have to fast forward it.
Yeah, we have to.
It's
we
too
do have to.
upsetting.
I've seen it. What?
Yeah, you do when
leave the room.
when Wreck-It Ralph destroys her car.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And she
okay.
cries.
I will get it. But then at the end, Fix It
Felix.
Felix.
Yep.
He Fix It Felix fixes the starting line and the car, and then Vanellope wins, and she becomes a princess.
But
Kind of a princess.
the entire way until the end, King Candy
He's trying to kill her.
is a maniac and trying to kill everybody.
Like bro.
Okay. So
And
hold on.
also trying to ruin her life, right?
yeah,
And
I
ruin
mean,
her friendship with Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
He's really hard.
he goes turbo.
He goes turbo. He
That's
does
why
go
I thought
turbo.
it was a
Turbo-tastic.
really good overrated villain.
She is a very good underrated villain. All right,
You said she. You said
did I say she?
Yeah. It's
That's-
a little confusing right now.
They don't talk about him a lot, but
Well, the crazy thing you don't know about King Candy is he's actually a woman. I didn't tell anybody about that part.
Ah!
I'm kidding. It's a joke. All right, my next one. Okay, everybody chill for a second so I can give you my next one.
Yes.
I do host the show.
You do?
Yeah, it's
Are you
fine.
sure?
Yeah.
I'm
guys are-
pretty sure.
You guys are all very
You
lucky to
have
be here and
Zoe.
be on and getting some attention.
We feel very lucky.
All right, guys, everybody let me do mine, okay? Real quick. I feel like mine are going to be an afterthought on this episode.
It's fine.
But I worked hard on coming up with my list.
Wait, I didn't do
I
it.
know yours
You're
is
going to
coming.
get there. Again, my show. I go, then you guys go. Got it?
But you already went, and Alexa and Jack didn't go yet, and I went.
He goes in between.
I go, you guys go. I go, you guys go. Got
We're a
it?
team.
Good. Okay. Next up, from Pinocchio.
Again.
Another one from Pinocchio, yes. The Coachman from Pinocchio. Why the Coachman? So I started out with 2 Pinocchio villains, right? I understand that. Pinocchio has more villains than any other Disney movie,
That's really true.
right? So it starts off with Gideon and Honest John, or Honest John and Gideon.
Right.
Then it goes Stromboli. Then it goes to Coachman. Then Monstro. Geppetto. Not Geppetto's not a villain, but it should be because he makes his kid go to school after he's been in his house for 10 hours. 10 hours later, he's like, "Hey, Pinocchio, off to school."
Listen,
I have a
every
big problem
parent
with
can
this.
sympathize with Geppetto right
Yeah,
now.
Geppetto is the ultimate quarantine parent. So the crazy.
There
What?
isn't I think you're talking about the villain that's the
That's Honest John. The Coachman, I'm going to explain to you who he is. The Coachman is the one who Honest John and Gideon sell Pinocchio to. Remember, he takes him to Pleasure Island. So the thing about the Coachman is, what he does is, he buys and kidnaps little boys off the streets of Italy.
Oh yeah.
true.
He promises them a great time.
Yeah.
Sends them to an island to drink and smoke and
Yes.
curse and do all bad things. Then he poisons them. He poisons them
Into like
and
a-
turns them into donkeys. He is
pretty
a
bad.
horrible villain. and then they're screaming and crying, and the ones that are still
they're
boys,
like half and half.
and they're like donkeys, and he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" And the kid's like, "I want my mother," and he's like, "Get out!" He kicks him,
Yeah,
and he doesn't let him on.
pretty bad.
He's a horrible villain.
He's
You know what the
worse
worst part
than
about the Coachman is? He's never caught.
No, he's never caught.
The movie ends, and they're just like, well, the Coachman got away. What? He got away?
He's the worst of all of them.
He's still kidnapping little boys and sending it. Pleasure Island didn't get destroyed. It's still there.
No, it didn't.
Right? So he still turned the little boys into donkeys. The beer shop got destroyed.
It says I got him and turned them, the little boys back into boys.
They can't turn back into boys. They're donkeys
it's
forever.
done now.
They're being sold to farmers in Italy to turn
Look at Jeff's face.
to mix
He's
ingredients
never watching
for
Pinocchio
cheese.
again.
Then how did Pinocchio get back?
The Blue Fairy helped Pinocchio, didn't she?
I think.
Oh, no. What happened? Jiminy Cricket helped Pinocchio and saved him. My big question, I almost said Pinocchio. That's not right, Pinocchio. My big question about this part, though, and my biggest question about this part of the movie, you know how Pinocchio gets the ears and the tail?
Yeah.
Shouldn't Pinocchio have turned into a wooden donkey, not a real live
Yeah,
donkey?
he definitely should have. You're
Shouldn't
right.
he be a wooden
That
donkey
seems to be a
puppet?
plot hole of some sort.
Right? Because he's not a live
Yes.
boy. He's not a real live boy at that point. He's not alive.
But
He's
he
alive.
don't know it.
Yeah, but he should turn into a donkey puppet, right?
So,
All right, buddies, let's try to keep the bodily functions in check for this podcast. All right, no more burping, no more any of that stuff. All right, and no more talking about it. Okay, so mine was the Coachman. I know it's very hard to keep these straight. Who's next?
Okay.
Mine.
So Jack, sorry, Lex. So Jack is up. Jack, and you're gonna do.
We're waiting. Jack is getting his assignment.
So this is Jack's
Jack,
pick.
who was your underrated
Gaston.
villain? Gaston is underrated?
I didn't think he was underrated, but Jack has a lot of arguments.
Okay, explain to me why he's underrated. Explain
Jack
to the
told me
listeners
he is
of
a
the
lone
podcast.
wolf.
Okay, he's a lone wolf. Why is he a lone wolf?
Because, like, the Beast and Belle are like, the main parts of the movie.
Okay.
And, like, so they're more common than Gaston. Because Gaston's a really mean villain, but no one really talks about him. Like, the Beast is
There's a whole song about him in the movie.
Yeah, but like we meant humans.
Okay. Like, we don't talk about him. Okay. So your pick is Gaston.
And what do you think makes him such a great villain, Jack?
Because he tries to kill the Beast
He does.
and made his Belle.
Yeah, he tries to force her to marry him, right?
But
Yeah, that's some cunning stuff right there. That's
Right?
not
her
good.
dad and said he will give her dad back if she marries him.
That's
not
true.
good.
And he has her dad thrown into a mental institution.
That's not good either.
Also not nice.
And it can't be, and he can't, and it can't be, it can't, somebody can marry the other person if they don't like the other person.
Right, you
That's a
shouldn't
really
marry
good point.
somebody you don't love.
Yeah, you can't be forced into marrying
So
someone.
there are your reasons why he's underrated. Because he's more evil than we all think he is.
Yes, people
Is that
talk
right?
about how he's funny and handsome, but not how he's so evil. That's a good pick, Jack.
He's handsome though.
He is
He is
handsome.
handsome.
And conceited and, oh, Papa, he's not for me. All right.
All right,
Good one,
so
Jack.
let's
All right.
do-
Is it my turn again?
Yes.
Or does Lex want to go and then bring it back to me?
No, it's fine. You can.
I
You have to take a turn, buddy. Remember we talked about this before we hit record. Just
No, we didn't.
talk when it's your turn.
Go
Thank you.
ahead. What's your turn?
We
Thank you.
were talking about introducing.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving right along.
My next underrated Disney villain is from Finding Nemo, Bruce.
Yes, that's a great pick.
Underrated. Why is he underrated? He's a villain. You might
He
not
is
think
a
he's a
villain.
villain.
No, I think he's a villain.
But he
are
clearly
you?
is.
Villain, and they smell some fish.
So he's best buddies with Dory and Marlin, right? He's all friends, not food, and he's being all nice. That's my accent. I know.
I heard it. I heard your accent.
All right, let me hear your Australian accent.
Fish all friends, not food. That was worse.
That was
That was worse. It was worse than I did.
I
That was a whole-
Shrimp on the bobby.
Oh,
That's actually might be the best one. All right, everybody, calm down. So, all right, so you think he's buddies with Marlon and with Dory until he smells what? What does he smell? Blood. And then what does he do?
tries to kill Joey.
He tries to eat Dory. He turns into
Who was his best friend a minute before?
He turns into a mindless, killing, eating machine.
It's a really good point.
does that
Just because he doesn't actually
he's a
eat
shark.
a fish, nobody
Why
talks
does he
about
smell
it. But he
blood?
wants to
Remember Dory hits her nose and she gets a little nosebleed?
from his mask.
And then then he smells blood and he tries to eat everybody. So he'll never be truly rehabilitated, right?
No.
He's like a stray dog that's
Right,
been
the
living...
only reason that he didn't eat Dory was because his friends stopped him.
Right, he's a stray dog living on the street. He's never going to be domesticated enough. Like, he's the one you get from the pound and you bring home, and people are like, can I pet your dog? You're like, I wouldn't. Like, he's that kind of
Yeah,
regular
that's him.
shark.
You're right, but no one ever discusses him.
So, yeah, so as much as he wants to be friends with fish, he's never, ever going to be friends with fish because every time he smells blood, he's going to start eating everything that he sees.
It's true.
So, underrated.
Because the water they live in are too sharp for fish.
You think?
Okay, let's just move
Yes.
on.
No, that's a good point.
No,
The
that
Boston
is a good
living
point.
in Detroit. So so every time you're saying every time a fish would swim in there, they would get bloody and he would start eating it.
Because
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a
that makes-
good point, Chuck. I never thought about it that way. You're
And
right.
he's also a murdering great white shark.
That too.
Is the thing. All right.
You
You thought what?
I didn't start as a great white shark. Besides, I didn't even know what a great white shark is.
Well, now we learned, right? All right, so it's
A great
Lax's
white.
turn.
Excuse me for 1 second, guys. I'm telling the podcast listeners, excuse me for 1 second. Deep breath. We will point to you when it's your turn. Got it?
Yes, it's Lax's next.
Now it's Alexa's turn.
Alright.
Sorry, podcast listener. We have to do a little parenting for the hyperactivity in the middle of the podcast.
Listeners.
Go ahead, Lex.
All right, Lex, your turn for the.
Oh,
Whichever one.
okay.
Or I would do.
Alright, so the next one, I think, she's way too underrated. I mean, I got it, this movie's from a long time ago, but still, it's an iconic Disney movie. Okay, this is Lady Tremaine.
Such a good pick.
Crazy.
Yes.
She makes Cinderella do all the work, and her actual children, just her children get to do everything they want, and they can go to the ball, but they treat Cinderella like a housemaid.
She is kind of a maid, isn't she? Is that her job?
Not really, Cinderella has a job.
And
They treat her really mean, and they don't really give her good food, and they're like...
And they make her clean up after them, and they make her get them breakfast, and she's
clean
in
the
charge of the
chimney
animals, and
sweep,
she
and the
cleans.
animals,
And then she has to make her own dress
dress.
when it's time to go
But
to
she
the ball.
says, but she doesn't really let her go to the ball. She says, "Sure, you can go to the ball if you do 8 million horrible chores."
she says,
Right.
no, she says, maybe.
And she does them.
And she does them, and she still doesn't get to go.
Because then her crazy sisters, what do her crazy sisters do? They tear her dress apart.
But but Lady Tremaine ensures that they see that Cinderella's wearing their stuff, and so she makes sure that they tear it up for her.
Right, and then...
But can we talk about her crazy eyes?
Yeah, talk about her crazy eyes.
Yeah,
Because that's the thing about Lady Tremaine
When her bed,
is-
I think in her bed.
Yes, when she's in her bed.
You can just see her white eye.
And they're like, they get real narrow and crazy, and you're like, that lady has done some terrible things in her past, and will continue to do some in her future.
Yeah, she's like the nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right,
And
Lex?
at the end of the
Bad
movie,
news.
she trips the man and he breaks
Monster.
the glass slipper.
She trips the guy.
Yeah.
Whatever that guy
Or
is.
she's locked Cinderella away.
She locks her in the tower.
Yeah. in the
When
tower.
she gets an idea, she starts to think like, oh, wait a minute. There will be, maybe she's the one that
She
fits into the
knew-
slipper.
Right.
Yeah.
So she locks her.
And she
in the
pretends that
dorm
she
tower.
doesn't exist.
Yeah, because the guy's like, anyone else in your house? And
Right.
she's like, no, just us. And you're
And
like,
when she comes down,
Your Grace,
stepmother says,
Your Grace.
That's just an imaginary child.
did she say that?
Yeah.
I don't even know that
Is
part.
that true?
Yeah. That's just an imaginary
And then,
child.
so
and
what happens?
covers Cinderella.
So she tries to put the slipper on him. What does she do? She trips her.
She trips the
She trips the
man.
guy.
Right.
So then
She trips your Grace. Yes.
If he does that, and then he trips him to wave the slipper because he
Right.
knows that
She has the other slipper, and they prove that she's the girl from the ball, and they live happily ever after.
Max, I think this is a
And then they
perfect pick.
lock Lady Tremaine up in the tower for the rest of her life, and Gus and Jack and the other mice torture her until she dies of old age.
Ha. That's
Or
not
no
what happened.
drinking and beverages today.
That would actually be that would be a good ending.
That would be a good ending. That's what she deserves.
Just torture her until that's it, right? That's like the grim fairy tale ending. Of it.
It is.
Okay, is it Zoe's turn?
It's up
All
to
right,
you.
Zoe, let's. You
Wait,
seem to be
isn't it
itching.
your turn because
It is probably, but this one doesn't.
I don't
listen
even know
to
how many people we.
It's fine.
wait,
We're
we're
fine.
going in an order.
Welcome to the podcast, Zoe G and Jack. All right,
We'll
so
have done 4 and Dad's
who
done
do you
2.
have on your list?
I just said
Underrated.
it a few minutes ago, but
Oh,
I think
jeez.
it's Cruella de Vil.
Cruella, I can see
I think
that.
that's a good one. People don't talk about her enough, and she's really bad.
She's definitely not talked
Good
about.
one, right, Max?
Well, she's real quick. She's definitely not talked about like Maleficent or the Evil Queen or Gaston or Ursula. She's kind of forgotten. So, what makes Cruella so evil?
That she tries to do something to the puppy.
What's she trying to do to the
I
puppies?
don't know. Get them and have them for themselves.
And what does she want to do with them? Turn them into
Yeah, a coat. Because she wants to make animals into coats.
So what happens in order to get an animal?
Because she likes kill them.
Yes.
She likes white coats with dots on them. And, but that's not the only way you could get coats.
How else do you get it?
You could make them and put dots on them, like how real people do them. Wow, lunatic! You don't have to get a Dalmatian. Yeah, you
So-
don't have to catch Dalmatian dogs and then kill them and then you sew them together as a coat.
I mean, it would be it's not advisable to do it that way.
Right.
For sure.
We are not
It's mean.
recommending that.
No one in this room is recommending anyone catch Dalmatians,
Correct.
kill them, and turn them into coats.
Or any kind of animal.
No, that's a recorder, so that's what we've had on the entire time.
Oh. Wait, is it that
All right,
tiny
wait a minute.
little thing?
Yeah, sit down. Okay, so they're just noticing the recorder in my hand the first time in the last half
Wait,
hour.
I
So anyway, so is that all you had to say about Cruella de Vil?
No, wait.
Oh, you have more to say?
Yes.
What? What else do you have to say?
That she chases them and she gets all muddy and like covered in goose feathers.
Does she?
Like I don't know, she gets covered in some kind of feathers.
I don't think she.
I think you're thinking of Yzma.
No, I'm
Okay.
not.
Okay.
That's fine. That's true too.
Speaking of Yzma, that's my next pick.
Is Yzma your next pick? Oh,
But she
yay.
flicks on the newspaper.
Oh, right. You're right.
You
You're
probably
right.
know the movie better than I do. Okay.
you're right.
We're going to move on from Cruella de Vil. I'm going to go to Yzma
Okay.
as my next
that's
underrated
fun.
villain.
I'm saying trying to kill and like some to shine or something.
So she tries to kill Cusco.
Right.
Because
Right.
he wants to be a
And the-
queen.
Right. And the Emperor,
Oh,
talking to the
the
Emperor,
Emperor.
right? And the Emperor's new groove. She tries unsuccessfully to
They
poison
shot to a
Cusco.
show, and she still tries to poison him.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's something that Ames, your mom, always tries to argue with me about, or always tries to forget
But she
that
has-
Yzma tries to
between us,
kill.
Mom, she hasn't went in a long time.
She's gonna get a chance to go.
Come on, boy, that
Oh my god!
book sounds annoying
All right, forget the bird.
me.
We're trying to record a podcast,
Okay.
guys. Can we
Just work through it. Work through it.
Can
Go
we
ahead.
please? Holy cow!
But it makes the podcast funny.
It makes it funny a little bit. All right, I'm just trying to get through Yzma here, people.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
So what
So
do I
anyway.
always forget?
You always forget because she's witty and she's funny and she's, that she's actually a premeditated murder or attempted murder.
It's a good point. She's
That's
not.
one thing.
She's not very successful though because I don't think she gives.
Does it
her
matter
all.
though?
No, it doesn't matter
She
because
definitely tried to kill
intent.
Cusco.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right, guys?
Yeah.
She tries to kill him.
Well, yeah, she wants to kill him.
So, like I was saying, like Zoe just said, when there's a list of all-time greatest villains, you go Gaston or you go Maleficent,
Right.
But you don't really mention Yzma. And she's a good one.
As he's doing this to the broccoli, he says one more broccoli, and then he's like,
Because she's trying
Yeah.
to show with the 2 pieces of broccoli for Kronk to knock Cusco out
Right.
and then make sure he's dead.
Right.
So
So,
you're right.
originally, to make a great villain, this is what I was trying to get to before the broccoli talk. To make it a great villain, does the villain have to have a big song? Right? Is that like Scar has a song, Ursula has a song?
Yeah, I mean, classically, that's the case, right?
Right. Gaston has a song.
You
Not
know-
really classically, but
You know who doesn't have a song? Who?
I wasn't done yet, but go
Sorry. You know what villain doesn't have a song that actually should be on my list? I meant to have him on my list, but I forgot. Is Dr. Facilier.
He has a song.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he has the other side song.
Oh, that's a song?
Yeah. The
Oh,
other
okay.
side. Yeah, he's got another song.
Oh, yeah, I don't know it that well.
So anyway.
He's a good villain, too.
Let me finish about. So, like I said, in order to have to be a great villain and be remembered as a great villain, do you need a song? I'm trying to keep this together. I know it's
You're
difficult.
doing great. No,
So wait,
I don't
so-
think you do.
So, but she did have one in the original version of the show. She had a song. Can you please stop, dude?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Just go ahead, Phil.
Anyway, so she did have a song in the Empire of the Sun or whatever it was called.
Oh, right, because it was initially it's going to be a much more serious movie.
Yeah, I forget the name. It wasn't Empire of the Sun, but it was something similar to that. She was going to have a song and got cut out
Right.
when they changed it. But she was going to be a much more serious, but not funny.
But they
villain.
made a great decision.
They
making
did.
her
They made
so
a really
fun.
good villain.
Like Scar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
more
Scar's
serious
pretty.
like Scar.
Yeah, Scar's pretty serious.
Yeah, he is.
But he's
You're
also
right.
funny. He has some funny lines.
Yeah.
He's what?
Underrated.
Yeah, Scar's
You think
underrated.
Scar's underrated?
A little bit.
You think?
I'm asking you. Do you think?
Oh, I thought you said you're big.
Moving on. Okay, Ames, do you have another one?
I do have one, yes.
Are we going to regret putting this podcast out there? or
No,
just-
I think it's really fun. I'm having a good time. So this is one of my absolute favorite villains and maybe characters of all time, and nobody ever talks about this person, and it's Mother Gothel from Rapunzel.
She has made a lot of appearances on the podcast, though. Like, not appearances.
Yes,
like, she hasn't been on. but she's been mentioned a lot.
we talk about
Yeah,
her all
we
the
talk about
time.
her all the time.
But I mean the world at large, right?
Right.
Nobody cares about how evil Mother Gothel is, although I will start by saying, because we talk about this a lot, initially when the movie started, right, here's the thing. She finds the flower, right? She just found it. She didn't steal it from anyone.
No.
Sorry, I
So she
couldn't.
just finds the flower and is using the flower to keep herself alive. Everything is fine. But then the kingdom, the king sends people out to steal the flower from Mother Gothel.
Right.
Now
Because they
listen,
know it's out there.
right. Now she did not retaliate in the correct manner. She could have just gone
She
to
did
them
steal the baby.
and reasoned with them and said, listen, you guys, that was my flower. You know, your wife can use it for a minute, but then I need it back. That's mine. You know,
So I can
found
live
it.
forever.
Finders keepers, losers weepers, whatever. But she doesn't. She steals Rapunzel, the baby, instead.
She
Locks her up
doesn't
in a
want-
tower.
She doesn't want Rapunzel. As long as Rapunzel's with her, she stays young.
Right.
Right.
Isn't with her, she turns older.
Right.
Right.
So she
So
becomes evil.
I think she's pretty evil to start.
Initially-
She could have saved the world with that thing.
Yes.
But instead, she harnessed it for herself.
That's a good point. You're right. But yeah, no,
Pretty
she's
se-
evil.
So she starts out just being selfish.
And the
Who
other
knows
thing
what
about
she did in her life
the
before
other
that?
thing about the Mother Gothel is she's not super kind to Rapunzel.
No.
Like she's pretty mean to her. But Rapunzel doesn't know. She's like, oh, that's my mom. Everything's fine. Like, even just the fact that Rapunzel thinks that she was born as Mother Gothel's child until she's, like, at least 18.
Yeah. Yeah, she's 18.
Like, Mother Gothel wasn't like, listen, I'm not your mom. I don't know where your mom is. Like, she doesn't even pretend like you were adopted. She just pretends that she gave birth to Rapunzel.
Right.
That's pretty damaging, right?
Yeah.
And then she tries to kill Flynn Rider, and then she doesn't
when
try to
she
kill
fin-
Rapunzel,
but when
but she tries to
Rapunzel fin-
kidnap her again.
But when
Yeah.
Rapunzel finds the crown, then she remembers when she
Yes.
was a baby, and she remembers her mom and dad.
Right.
Her actual mom
But
and
she
dad.
definitely-
And she's the lost princess, and she tells Mother Gothel.
Yeah,
Right.
you're right. You're right.
And she says, I will never stop fighting you, right?
Unless you let him go.
Unless you let
Just let me heal him.
Yes. Because is he dead? He's pretty dead.
So he is definitely killed by Mother Gothel
Brought back by
until
her.
Just like the Beauty and the Beast to get the
Yes.
magic tear.
Magic tears, yes.
The magic tear helps them stay alive.
That's true. I've
That's
never
right.
seen magic tears before.
Magic
We've had a lot of tears in this house. I've never seen one
They have not been
make
magical.
anybody still alive.
Magic tears.
Yeah.
But so that's
Your tears
I
are
think there's a
magical.
lot
Your
of different
voice.
levels of her
Magic
evilness.
tears. Magic tears.
So anyway,
I think there's a lot of different levels of her being evil.
She's
and
pretty
there's
evil.
But she's also pretty hilarious. So that's what I think makes her so awesome. And I don't
is.
know why people don't talk about her more.
When she says,
She's a
I
great
see
hit.
look in the mirror, I see a confident, beautiful young woman. Oh, look, you're there too.
I'm just kidding. You're adorable.
I think, I don't know, I have one left. Does anybody else have any?
Take your turn.
I'm going to give,
I have 3 left.
you have 3?
No, 4.
4?
I
Okay,
have 4. That's all I have.
you have 4. Are you done or you have 4 more?
She only did one.
I just have 4.
Oh, she has one more. Okay.
Okay, why don't you go with Jafar? since
Good. You
mentioned
do.
him?
You do your turn.
Alright, so
You think, so Alexa thinks Jafar is a very underrated
I
villain.
think that's an excellent.
Why?
because I think
Because I think, I'm going to tell you what I think about Jafar. I think he's a little bit of a lame villain.
Well, she has a point
But I
that
wanna
she
know
thinks
what
makes him
you-
less lame.
he's not as lame as you think,
Oh, good.
Dad.
All right. Well, tell me why you think Lex.
Okay. Well, I think because he tries to hypnotize everybody in the kingdom, so then they are like him, so that
Under
they,
his spell.
under his spell and are with him, and
So
then
he can marry Jasmine.
and so he can marry Jasmine because he then sees.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, actually.
Yeah, that part's surprising.
It's a little creepy.
He's
He's a lot older than Jasmine.
older.
Yes, he's like.
But you're right. He makes the Sultan, who is in charge of everything.
Yes.
He puts him under a spell, right? And makes him just completely controls him.
Yes, completely.
And then he does the same to Jasmine, or
Yeah.
tries to.
And does that weird thing with the ring. I don't know.
What is it again? Speak up a little bit.
But the weird thing with the ring, like it like spins it, it's like weird.
I don't remember.
I don't remember that part, but I know what you're saying.
And
in
also,
general.
he's kind of mad to that parrot guy.
He's so mean to Iago, who's supposed to
Yeah.
be his one and only best friend.
And
He
he
just
traps him in a
does
cage
probably
and only
now.
gives him crackers.
Yeah, I have no problem with being mean to Gilbert Gottfried's voice. I'm fine with that.
But he shouldn't have been his friend then.
It's true, but he is an evil, mean wizard who probably can't have any human friends.
And he does try to kill
I'm just
Aladdin
playing,
like 17
I'm playing
times.
devil's advocate here.
But he does try to kill Aladdin 17 times.
He does try to kill Aladdin a lot.
And he also wants the lamp.
And he wants to land because he wants...
Yes.
And then...
He wants to control the world.
Yeah.
So that's pretty evil.
Yeah.
And you are right that you don't see him around a lot. People don't talk about him a lot. That's a really good point.
All right. Who else has one?
Thank you.
Who do you have?
All right, so these are your last ones. Okay.
Captain Hook, Jack. All right. Sit up. Let's hear Captain Hook. Why is Captain Hook underrated?
Because he tries to kidnap people and turn them into more pirates.
Oh, that's a good point.
Pretty good. And he's... Not a lot of people talk about Captain Hook.
Nobody talks about him.
He's underrated.
Is that your underrated dance?
Yeah.
For people who can't see this, he's dancing around the room singing
And
underrated.
clapping.
And clapping. All right. So, Captain Hook, who do you have, Zoe?
I have one that I don't think that many people talk about. I don't know if you think it's a good one or not, but I think it's a really good one. I know, like, almost no one talks about this person. It's Zurg from Toy Story.
That's a
Zurg.
great pick, Zoe.
Why is Zurg so underrated?
Because he's a villain from Toy Story, and not a lot of people really talk about him. I think he's really good because he tries to kill Buzz.
Does he try to kill Buzz?
Or, I don't know.
He's Buzz's father. Remember Toy Story 2? He says, "No, Buzz, I am your father." And
What?
Buzz goes, "No!" Remember?
But then they become friends, don't they? Which is
Yeah,
a
they're
little-
father-son, remember?
But that's a great pick. And that inspired...
Zoe didn't remember that from Toy Story 2.
But that inspired Lex for one more pick.
To do
Oh, so Zoe likes another one.
this guy.
I have one.
Absolutely, I've never heard him any single person talk about this person, which makes me always forget about this guy. He is the Prospector, aka Stinky Pete.
Oh, Stinky
That's
Pete.
an amazing
That is
pick.
a good
He's
underrated one.
really bad. I mean, he is so...
He's
Because
really,
he is so
really
sneaky.
bad.
Sneaky. But he is. He is so
Stinky Pete.
stinky. He's so sneaky. Because remember,
The
he...
Prospector from Toy Story 2.
Oh, I was going to talk about him. Don Figure.
Go ahead, Lex.
And he is not. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
He he does not really like anybody. He's not very nice to anybody.
No, he's still mean to everyone, but he pretends to be charming.
He pretends to be charming and nice.
And he pretends he's not out of the box, but he is.
That's the worst part. But remember when he
There's a lot of
knocked
people
over
who collect Funko Pops
cheese curls?
who would be super upset if they thought their Funko never came out of the box, and at night he was sneaking out of the box every single night.
Remember when he knocked the bowl of cheese curls over, but he pretended it was Jesse?
Yes.
He blamed
Yep.
everything on everyone else.
Yeah.
And then he cuts Woody's arm, tries to cut Woody's arm off again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
he
not
just makes it like a
He
little
rips it,
fall.
yeah.
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 But that's not nice. And he definitely would have killed him if he had gotten a chance.
Yes.
And it's just
I don't
all
even know how you
selfish.
killed
All
Woody.
selfishly motivated.
I don't know.
Well, he was going to try.
Speaking of killing toys, I have one left. We'll go to you at the end.
I have two left.
Okay. So my last one. Speaking of killing toys, somebody we never talk about, Sid.
No one's
from
ever
Toy
talked
Story.
about him. You're a-
Yes!
Very underrated villain.
Actually, now that you said that, now we know how.
Listen, Sid was on the way.
Wait, do you mean Sid the Science Kid?
Yes. Sid from Toy Story is not Sid the Science Kid, is a legitimate sociopath. Named
He is.
Mason.
You're absolutely
What?
right.
I
Hold on
was
one second, guys.
Sid the guy doing the trash
That's where I was going.
by his shirt itself.
So that's what I was going with, Zoe. So thank God something happens to Sid that makes him go from the crazy kid
Yeah, because he was on
blowing-
target for some
blowing
crazy,
toys up with fireworks, lighting them on fire, melting them, torturing his sister by cutting her toys apart, and sewing and gluing and taping them back together as new toys. He was just a
Yeah,
monstrous kid.
that's a really good point because we always think of how mean he is to the toys because in that movie toys are like people, but I never thought about his real sister, human being sister, and how
He takes the doll and rips his head off and puts like a vamp or a dinosaur head on it.
yeah, it's scary
Horrible.
looking too. Really
The poor
scary.
little girl, right?
Yeah.
So he's horrible to her. So he's on this path of like, no way he's being redeemed.
No.
He's going to be in and out of prison at
Yeah.
15, juvenile detention centers,
He's gonna
prison,
move on to real
lots
people.
of arrests, petty theft, all these things. But what happens? Woody and the toys teach him a lesson.
They sure
They
do.
scare the pants off him.
And they-
Woody breaks toy character. He breaks the toy rules, turns his head around like the Exorcist, and talks to him and says,
'Cause who's he
"So
gonna
be
tell?"
nice."
Because who's he going to tell and who's going to believe Sid?
So what happens? Sid straightens himself out. We think he does anyway. Straightens himself out, becomes a garbage engineer, sanitation worker,
Who's in the next
garbage
movie.
collector in Toy Story 3, who seems to be straight. He's still wearing the same shirt, which is weird, but I think that's only for some
Just
to
to
recognize who it is.
indicate, yes.
He's got the headphones on. He's rock and rolling.
He's
like,
doing fine.
"Bah, bah, bah, bah," throwing the trash in the trash.
He seems happy.
He seems to be happy, and he's not destroying anything, and he's working a good job. So we should feel good that Sid turned it around. But he was on his way to being a really bad dude.
Yeah, he
All
could
right,
be awful.
so that was my last one. Does anybody else have one? I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding because I know we have a couple more. So we're gonna go back to you, Mr. Baseball T-shirt. Calm down, Zoe. Calmly. Who else do you have? So we're gonna go Zoe, Jack, and then
They
Zoe.
should at the same time because they are in the same movie.
Okay, go ahead. Say your two.
The stepsisters of Cinderella, Trizella, and Anastasia.
We kind of talked about them a little bit
Yeah.
with when we were talking about Lady Tremaine, like Lex said. But what's so bad about them?
That they rip up the dress. That's what we talked about, and also that they torture Cinderella.
Yes,
Yes.
they call her names all the time. They hit her sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like in the head?
They're also not good singers when they sing.
No.
Sing,
They
sweet
brag, they do
nightingale.
And let's make a good point. They brag all the time. That's
They what?
right,
Rap?
Brag.
Oh, they said they rap.
They brag all the time.
They're like, yo,
They
yo,
do.
Anastasia in the house.
No, they do brag. I'm the prettiest this, I'm the prettiest that. You're right, Lex.
Jack's,
That's a good point.
Jack's rapping.
And they make fun of Cinderella. They were like,
All right.
it was technically a winter trying to be a summer. They liked that. When they thought it wasn't Cinderella, they saw her at the ball. She looked so different by the fairy godmother, and then the evil stepmother, Lady Tremaine, found out.
You're right. All right, so that was a great one. Jack, who was your last one? Did you not have one?
I did.
Who?
Oh wait, I lost the chocolate.
Okay, so you don't have one more? Yeah. All right, so everybody, does anybody else have an underrated character to mention?
I have one more.
I have one,
Yes, Amy Liz.
but I don't remember his name.
It's always good. Who is it?
So it's from no, you're good. I'm sorry. It's from Meet the Robinsons, and I can't remember that.
The bowler hat guy?
Yes, the bowler hat guy.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
What's
The
his
bowler
name?
hat guy?
No, he's got a name when he's a kid.
Goob?
What's his name?
Goob?
Something that's close
Something
to that.
like that. Goob.
Goob.
Good
Yeah,
job.
that's right. So Goob, the bowler hat guy.
Yeah, I just think that he's worth talking about. First of all, I do think that Meet the Robinsons is super underrated
Such
as a
a good
movie.
Oh my god, it's one of the most underrated Disney movies in the
It really
You
is.
guys,
And
everybody
this
here,
guy-
we've seen that movie a bunch of
But
times.
this guy, listen, so this guy has his reasons, absolutely. I'm not saying that he doesn't. But he spends his whole adulthood, teenage years in adulthood, trying to destroy the main character's life, right? I mean, I don't want to say too much about it because I think people should just watch it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. If you haven't seen it, we don't want to spoil it. You have to watch. Right, guys?
But that's like his life's goal, and he will stop at nothing to destroy
We're giving
Right.
like
his life.
the description that you see like
Yes.
under like the
Yes.
name.
That's a great. He is a bowler hat guy's a great villain.
I think he's a great villain, too.
Zoe's got another one. What do you have, Zoe? We're just gonna wrap it up in one
This
second.
is our last
okay?
one.
I don't know about him. I don't think you guys will think it's really good, but I think that he is pretty good, and I don't know.
All right, let's get a name, bud.
Okay,
Get a name.
Pete from Mickey Mouse.
I had him on my list, Zoe. Thank you, Pete.
So Pete is
Yeah.
the original Disney Mickey Mouse villain because he was in Steamboat Willie with Mickey Mouse.
Zoe, that's a great pick. I forgot about him on
So
my
it's
list.
it's him, Minnie, right? And is Minnie in Steamboat
Yes,
Willie? And Pete.
but Pete is in many, many, many versions, right? So he's in the Goofy movies. He's still not nice.
No,
he's
he's in-
really, really mean.
Mickey's Christmas Carol. He's horribly scary.
Oh, he's
As
terrifying.
the Ghost of Christmas.
He just has bad
Yet to
intentions,
Come or
Pete,
whatever it
right?
is. Yeah, never a good dude.
He just wants to
Even
like
in
ruin
Mickey
everyone
Mouse
else's.
Clubhouse, though,
Yes,
he's still a villain.
he is. Now listen, that's the time that he shows the most remorse. There are a couple episodes in which he shows remorse.
Yeah.
But generally, no,
We've
he
seen a
just
lot of
wants
Mickey
to
Mouse
ruin your
Clubhouse
life.
over the years. We've seen every one. There's not one we haven't seen.
That's correct.
And he is, he's the only villain on that show.
That's true.
Unless you count Mortimer when he showed up.
Which he's
one time.
only in like one or two
Ah,
episodes.
yeah.
But even then, Pete was like trying to get in cahoots with Mortimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a weasel, even though
He
he's a
is.
cat. Who knew he was a cat?
But he is
Like,
so.
for years I thought
but
he was a
sometimes
dog.
he's like a threatening, scary villain.
Yeah, like in Mickey Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He isn't a dog.
Pete is a cat.
He's a cat. I know it's surprising.
You get it? He's going after Mickey, who's a mouse.
Oh, we just blew
Blown
Jack's
away.
mind.
Blown away. He's never his head.
Mickey's a mouse and cats like
Just
mouse.
blew your mind.
That's right.
You're never going to be the same now. All right, so that. Why does it look like he has what? I don't know. It is a beard. It's just ears.
It looks
All right,
like
guys.
ears are pierced, she said.
Oh, I don't know. My ears?
Yes.
Holy cow. With that, thank you guys, everybody. Zoe wants to know why it looks like I have my ears pierced. My ears have never been pierced. You're sitting a little too close to me. I think that's the
Can I
problem.
say, I really hope that you guys did enjoy this podcast and got some good stuff out of it. And definitely you guys should comment your most underrated villains.
Most underrated villain. I want to hear from the listeners.
And also, you should watch Meet the Robinsons.
And also Meet the Robinsons.
Yes, we gave you some homework today.
The thing about doing a podcast with everybody is it gets a little crazy.
But I hope it was fun and you guys got
It's
some good stuff out of it.
All right, everybody say goodbye.
By
Let's-
the right homework.
Let's try calmly, everybody. Goodbye. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast. Thank you to my guests. I especially thank you to my wife, Ames, for dealing with all of us. Thank you to my kids, Alexa, Zoe, and Jack. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you made it through. There were some funny parts. I tried to keep it together. Sometimes when you have kids on, though, that's the way it goes. Thank you again to Griffin for his question earlier in the show. Thank you again to Bob for his answer. And thank you so much for listening. I always appreciate it. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hey, listen, if not, you can play it for your kids. I'm sure they'll get a kick out of it. So just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast next week, as long as hopefully an episode of the Walt Disney World Word of the Week. So until next time, have yourself an amazing week. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Ear to there, ear to